All right, so let's talk about the MirrorFace saga. This is a hacking group linked to China that has been hammering away at Japan since, get this, 2019. Yeah, we're talking over 200 documented attacks, just relentlessly targeting sensitive sectors like government agencies, aerospace, and you guessed it, semiconductors and advanced technologies.
Indeed, relentless is the word for it. Over the years, these attacks were carried out in 3 very distinct waves, each one ramping up in sophistication. They began with good old-fashioned spear phishing, highly targeted emails, loaded with malicious links or attachments. But the real twist? These weren't the usual careless spam efforts. No, MirrorFace obsessively tailored their emails to focus on hyper-relevant topics like Japan-US alliances or Taiwan Strait. Those titles were designed to spark curiosity, and it worked.
And it wasn't just curiosity, they also exploited trust. Imagine getting an email from, say, a former colleague or an executive you're familiar with. That's what these hackers did. They impersonated trusted sources to deliver malware.
Exactly. But phishing was just the tip of the iceberg. MirrorFace also took to exploiting vulnerabilities in virtual private networks, VPNs, to penetrate organizational networks. They particularly loved targeting Fortinet and Citrix products, which had known weaknesses. Once inside, they'd unleash their arsenal of malware ranging from LoadInfo to Noopdoor and others, often leveraging tools like Cobalt Strike for lateral movements within the network.
Yeah, and then we get to the Port of Nagoya ransomware attack in 2023. This one's wild. Picture this. Operations entirely gridlocked, like for 3 days. It's one of Japan's largest container ports, and everything just came to a halt. Trade, supply chains, you name it.
And that's a perfect case study of the broader impacts of these attacks. While many incidents didn't result in data leaks, disruptions like these rippled far beyond the immediate targets. It's about destabilizing infrastructure, sending a message, if you will, to showcase vulnerability.
Right, and going after targets like JAXA, the space agency, or the semiconductor sector just pushes this to another level. The choice of victims clearly points to a strategy focused on high-value, highly confidential data. It's not random.
And it points to patience too. Methodical execution from MirrorFace. They're not relying on brute force, but persistent, calculated efforts, which is honestly a hallmark of state-sponsored hacking. It's chilling to think about how long they've been lurking undetected in some cases.
MirrorFace's methodical strategy becomes even more evident when we dig into their toolkit. Let's talk about Anil and Noopdoor. These aren't just any malware. What makes them so significant?
Excellent question. Anil, sometimes also called uppercut, is essentially a backdoor, probably one of the most subtle and effective tools in MirrorFace's arsenal. Once they trick a target into opening one of their spear phishing emails, Anil installs itself to establish a secret communication channel between the attacker and the compromised system. This means they can quietly exfiltrate data or execute commands without setting off alarms.
So it's like giving them a skeleton key to the system?
Exactly. But here's the twist. Anil has features designed to evade detection. For instance, it can operate within a sandbox environment. Now, if you're thinking, sandbox equals safety, you're not wrong, generally speaking. But this malware was crafted to interact with the host system through sandbox vulnerabilities, essentially breaking those safety barriers.
Okay, that's unsettling. And what about Noopdoor? Is it similar?
Noopdoor shares some functionality, but it's a more flexible payload delivery tool. Think of it as a multi-tool in the hacking world. What makes it stand out is its modular nature. Attackers can customize it for specific missions, from large-scale espionage to disrupting day-to-day operations. It's that customizable versatility that makes it lethal. And like Anil, it's designed to keep a low profile while performing its tasks.
Wow. So pairing these with the spear phishing approach really amps up their effectiveness. It's like handing a burglar your house keys and then disabling the alarm system for them.
Precisely. They've combined these tools with incredibly well-targeted phishing emails. By impersonating familiar names, colleagues, maybe even an executive, the victim is far less likely to suspect foul play. And once Anil or Noopdoor is deployed, the attackers suddenly have access to vast amounts of sensitive data, such as blueprints, proprietary research, or even internal communications.
It's like death by 1,000 cuts, quiet, calculated, and nearly impossible to stop unless you're incredibly vigilant. Honestly chilling. Given everything we've covered about their tools and strategies, it's clear that MirrorFace's actions go beyond just stealing blueprints or internal emails. This is state-sponsored cyber espionage, a modern weapon in geopolitical maneuvering.
Absolutely. By targeting sectors like defense, aerospace, and semiconductors, MirrorFace is extending the battlefield into cyberspace. Think about it. These industries are critical to national security and technological superiority. This isn't merely theft, it's about establishing dominance in an increasingly tech-driven global landscape.
Kind of like a high-tech game of chess, right? The attacks are calculated moves, not spur-of-the-moment heists.
Exactly. And these cyberattacks have ripple effects. Take the Japan Airlines incident on Christmas Day 2023. Disruptions in aviation, especially during holiday travel, aren't just inconvenient. They sow chaos and erode public trust in critical infrastructure.
Yeah, delays and cancellations across 20-plus flights. That alone showcases how these attackers aren't just lurking. They're timing their strikes to maximize impact.
It's a tactic rooted in precision. And when you step back, this goes beyond Japan. These incidents are a window into how cyber warfare functions as both a tool of espionage and a demonstration of influence. They illustrate the blurred lines between military objectives and civilian infrastructures.
And the fact that it ties back to APT-10, China's Advanced Persistent Threat Group, says a lot about the stakes here. This isn't random hacking for financial gain. This is about geopolitical strategy.
Precisely. Nation-states are leveraging these cyber units to achieve objectives that would be politically or even logistically impossible through traditional means. It's covert, often deniable, and shockingly effective.
It's like modern-day spycraft, but the agents are lines of code. Honestly, hearing about these methods, it makes you realize just how exposed critical infrastructure can be.
And this exposure underscores an urgent reality, that cybersecurity isn't just a technical issue anymore. It's a national security priority, and ignoring it only amplifies vulnerability on a global scale.
Given how exposed we've seen critical infrastructure can be, it's clear we need a game plan. So let's shift gears. What are experts recommending to actually defend against attacks like MirrorFace's?
Great question. Experts are emphasizing a multi-layered approach. It starts with the basics, regular vulnerability assessments and patch management. Outdated software and unpatched systems are often the easiest entry points for attackers. It's quite concerning how often this simple step is overlooked.
Yeah, I mean, not exactly groundbreaking advice, but it's wild how many companies don't keep up with it. Like leaving the front door unlocked and wondering how someone got in.
Precisely. But there are more nuanced measures too. For instance, implementing robust employee training programs can significantly reduce the risk of falling for phishing scams. Training needs to be dynamic though, not those dull click-through courses. Think simulations, surprise tests, and keeping people engaged with real-world examples.
Right? Because let's be honest, not everyone's going to instantly spot the difference between a legitimate email and one with a hidden malware payload. Make it practical, make it stick.
Exactly. And these measures need to be complemented by advanced threat detection technologies. Tools powered by AI, for instance, can quickly identify anomalies in network traffic, flagging potential breaches before they escalate. It's a game of staying one step ahead.
Okay, so we've got tech, training, what about policy? Japan's proposing something called active cyber defense. Sounds intense. What's the deal?
It is intense and not without controversy. Active cyber defense means going beyond just defending your systems. It's about taking a proactive stance, identifying and dismantling threats before they can act. This could mean neutralizing malware or even targeting the infrastructure used by attackers.
Whoa, so like hitting the hackers back?
In essence, yes, but it raises significant ethical and legal questions. Who decides what constitutes a proportional response? And there's also the potential for escalation. It could lead to cyber conflicts spiraling out of control.
Yeah, not exactly a one-size-fits-all policy, but hey, if it means fewer ransomware attacks on ports and airlines, it's worth talking about, right?
Absolutely. But it has to be part of a broader strategy. No single measure will suffice against threats as sophisticated and persistent as MirrorFace. It's about building resilience, technical, human, and policy-based.
Well said. And I think that's the note to end on, folks. Cybersecurity isn't just a tech issue anymore, it's everyone's business. That's a wrap for today. Stay safe out there and stay vigilant.
And remember, the best defense starts with awareness. Until next time.